Good night to everybody. Feli.
Feel like you still there?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Good night, good night, good night, good
Yes,
night.
I.
all right, Fila, we gonna jump into this real quick, man. We got Fila on the phone here. He's our on the phone friends of. He's a part of the friends of the It's Your Perspective talk show. Um, and we're just gonna jump right into some things here, Fila. Um, One of the things that we've been sort of talking about, obviously, that's going on this year is elections 2014. You know, they had all the possible candidates in the paper, I guess, a couple weeks back. Any thoughts on elections, uh, voting machines? You know, the whole process. It's I think it's still a big mess. Too much feuding going on, and I think we lose sight of what the whole purpose of the election process is. But you got any thoughts on that?
I think, particularly me personally, I think that people need to be, like when a person has to go for a gun license, how they have to meet certain criteria. I
Yes,
think
I.
the same thing should be done to voters. Now, the reason why that wouldn't be able to be done is because people would say that it would be a violation of someone's right to have to go study to be qualified to vote. But if you ask most people who vote, what is the meaning of an override or a veto? What is the difference between a legislative session or a legislative hearing? They wouldn't be able to answer that.
Okay.
But yet they participate in something as crucial as the election process. I think that more time needs to be spent educating people overall. As Suk mentioned earlier, people barely know the difference between what is real and what's an illusion.
Yes.
Until you could grasp the concept of what is real and what is not real, I don't think people should be making critical decisions like that until a better education process is implemented.
Okay. I thought the list was large. Since I've come back, I think maybe that's been the most people that have are running for office.
The one thing that I think that people must understand is that everybody you see running is actually running. Something.
So
It may sound funny, but in horse race, sometimes a horse is just placed in the race to get other horse tired, not necessarily
That's right.
to win.
That's right.
And
That's right.
politics have become that, and when you want to steal an election, the more people you have running, the easier it is to steal that election, because
Cut.
stealing an election is based on percentage. It is easier to displace percentage when you have more people running. If you have two people running, it is much difficult to
Yeah.
displace percentage. So
okay.
the more people you put, is the easier it becomes to steal. So not because you're seeing a lot of people, don't believe that they are there because they want to be there.
Okay. Interesting perspective
Yeah, it's all an agenda.
there. I see that. What about this whole thing of voter the election machines? Because I'm in IT, and I just seem to think that why can't they just go out and buy some voting machines, some good ones, that are good. I mean, they use them in various states. Why can't we just get those? I mean, any thoughts on that?
I think that what the problem was is let's say you went into Plaza and you purchased some groceries, but you didn't come back out. You didn't come out with everything that you purchased. If you never had a receipt, you couldn't go back in the store and dispute your case. And that was the case with the old machine. There was no receipt, so to speak. And even though you may have gotten a receipt from the receipt would have been inconsistent. I
Okay.
think the newer machines are more consistent. So in the past, if there was a discrepancy in an election, there was no way to validate the discrepancy because there were no way to tabulate the
Okay.
discrepancy.
Okay.
So, and these things are by design. It's really sad to say that for the past 20 years we've been using a machine that the machine has actually been selecting. And it's really what takes place here in the Virgin Islands is really remarkable. It's really remarkable for a tiny, tiny place. The thing, I mean, for 20 years you have machine that hasn't been doing right for the people, And I think, again, more people need to understand what takes place in the Virgin Islands. I think if I send you somewhere and I don't educate you as to where you are or don't give you a map to take you around, you wouldn't be able to get your way around.
Yes.
And most people do not understand. Again, on the base, I love what Soup said earlier, because our thoughts are basically a figment of our imagination. It's what we think, like what we're doing right now. A little while ago, we were talking about doing what we're doing, and our thought drove us to the point where it's actually a reality now. So what we were thinking about a little while ago is actually a reality now, and that's what life is all about. Your thoughts perceive your reality.
Yes. Yes.
But nobody tells us to be careful as to what we're thinking. They always tell us to be careful what we do. But it's a little bit too late when we do, because it is our thoughts that perceive what we did.
Exactly. That's a good way to put that. It's very plain and simple.
And it is. Most of our problems stems from the way we think as a people. And we don't think. We regurgitate what we've been taught. We as a people, we don't think.
Okay.
Basis of what, when we come to a conclusion, it is based on the systematic illusion that we've been trained to think. So that is why we have this madness around us.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why we can't get a grip, on the simple things in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was gonna ask you to, as far as the elections go, the election process. Do you think that maybe we need less senators? What are your thoughts on less senators?
No, and if you have problems with more, then it means that if you reduce the amount you are doing is making it easier for them to steal. I think the more people we have, if you have 15 people and they're stealing, what's going to happen if you have 5? It makes it easier for them to unite, and difficult it is to have 15 people to think the same way to steal from a group of people, and yet they do that.
Yeah.
So I don't ever see reducing. I think sometimes we say that because we become emotional, and most people who make that statement, if you ask them what is the basis of the statement, you will see that it's just an emotion, because it could never be justified. It makes it much too easy to steal.
Okay.
It makes it much too easy to steal. So reducing it is not really an option. And that's my perspective.
Okay. The other thing too is along the lines of changing the vote, the election process. In the states, they you get voted in, I guess, in districts, and so I guess our thought is that creating like districts here. So if you're talking all the way from Point Udall going west, let's say to Buccaneer, that's District 1, and they have a couple Democrats, a couple Republicans running for office for that district. And from Buccaneer going west is District 2, and then we have going further west District 3 and 4. And in every district, they have, I guess ultimately we'll have a Democrat and a Republican representing the people of that district. The way we do it here, I think, is a little different. But you have any thoughts on maybe changing that particular part of the election process?
I think what we should be careful about is it sounds well and good what you're saying, and that would fit in a normal functioning society where the people are well educated. And,
Okay, that says it right there. But go ahead, man.
but to take that and implement it in our society, I think the outcome of that will be more racism than anything else. Because let's be for real, we live on an island where 85% of the people is black, but yet we have a fully white commerce, chamber commerce. We live on an island where 85% of the people are black, but the most people with the money jobs are white people.
Oh, white people, yeah.
So if we do that on the basis of what I just said, you would find more of the finances swinging towards the richer districts.
Yes, and that would be like out east. I see what you're saying.
Exactly,
I see what you're saying.
exactly. So it goes right back to my earlier statement. Sometimes we try to repair the physical without addressing the mental. And I think we have more a mental problem than a
Okay.
physical problem. It is because we manifest our mental where it appears to be a physical problem.
Okay.
But I think, again, it goes right back to educating the people. I have no problem with what you're saying because I don't think you've ever seen it, but in the D. Hamilton Jackson Labor Union Constitution and bylaws, it is set up by districts.
Oh, okay.
So you had one person who was in charge of a certain district. So it is nothing new what you're saying, but I think that in order for that to work, again, people must be educated, and we have this philosophy where Superman is going to come and fix things for us, and we must obligate ourselves to be the overseer of our future.
Okay.
You don't see anything else in life doing that, depending on something or someone else to do. We are the only species that really does that. Until you train an animal to do that, they wouldn't do it on their own.
Yes, I got you.
I think more accountability should come as individuals. I think it is because of the individual chaos that we have why it becomes a social problem.
Okay.
If each individual would be more accountable, I think
And that's what we need the people here to be, is more accountable. It's just everybody just running crazy, doing their own thing.
So feel like where do we start to educate them from? From in the schools, from at home, from where? Because
I think-
because now it's like we have to train them all over again to walk, talk, creep, do everything all over again.
I hear what you're saying. I think one of the biggest problems is that because we have moved away from nature, I think our task becomes more difficult. But let's really take a look at nature, and let's pick on the coconut. The coconut itself is simple, but look at it. It provides its own food, its own water, and its own shelter. It lives in a shell.
Yes.
Now, how many of us as a people could say that we provide those things for ourselves? And yet we have the nerve to look at the coconut and say it's nuts. But who is really nuts?
A great analogy, feel like.
I know, right? I know, right?
For sure.
It may sound funny. If we all think about life for what it is, we would see that every human being comes from a seed. So if we come from a seed, our behavior should be like a seed. Every seed grows from within. Our every thought stems from outside. And there lies our problem. We as human beings don't see ourselves as a seed. So we reach from outside instead of reaching within. And that is what makes it so hard to be accountable, because accountability starts within. when we say accountability, you would hear somebody saying, yeah, the federal government needs to come in and check the money for we. That's not accountability. That's madness. You know, we need to maintain where the mango tree, the coconut tree, everything gets its source from. We get it from also. So why is the mango tree and the coconut tree and the plum tree being productive when we are not, and the source comes from the same place?
Yeah, we want to do everything else than what we're supposed to be doing.
Exactly, and that is what makes it easy for us to go and do the things we're supposed to do. If we imitate and mimic nature, we wouldn't have a problem. But the mere fact that we believe that we have dominion over all things, the domino effect that one thought creates, your every action after thinking that would be ludicrous. You know, so again, it is the very thing that we think that creates our nightmare.